We arrived at the Marco Polo Airport in Venice and made our way to the water taxi stand for a ride to our first Airbnb, located on the island of Murano. It was our first time aboard a water taxi, and the experience was truly unique. Once we found our Airbnb, we decided to explore the area and look for a place to eat. We stumbled upon a charming little cafe, just about to close for the night. We hadn't realized how early places in Italy tend to close compared to back home. The Airbnb itself was small but charming, nestled near an old church whose bells rang non-stop for a full hour. Katie, how long this bell's been going on for?
It started at 7:30.
And what time is it now?
7:55.
Almost 30 minutes. I later learned this wasn't a usual occurrence.
Ringing these damn bells.
We had to check out of our Airbnb by 10 a.m. and with a heavy suitcase in tow, Kate and I decided to take a break and relax on a park bench, enjoying the scenery for a couple of hours. Around noon, we made our way to the NH Collection Venice Murano Villa, our hotel, where we would be meeting our tour group at 2:30 p.m. Thankfully, we were able to drop off our luggage early, giving us the freedom to explore a bit more and grab some lunch. We stumbled upon a cozy cafe and decided to dive into our first taste of authentic Italian cuisine. I had a rich bolognese while Caitlin enjoyed creamy mushroom ravioli. After lunch, we wandered the charming streets of Murano, soaking in the sights until it was time to meet up. At 2:30 p.m., we gathered with our tour group and met our guide, Constantino, who spoke 5 languages and proved to be an excellent guide. We then headed to a glass-blowing demonstration, which was fascinating to watch and definitely a highlight of the day. We woke up early to catch a water ferry to Venice, ready for a day of exploration. Our 2-hour tour of this iconic city took us through some of its most famous landmarks, including the Rialto Bridge, Piazza San Marco with its stunning basilica, the Doge's Palace, and the renowned Bridge of Sighs. After the tour, Kate and I enjoyed a serene gondola ride through Venice's picturesque canals. While Venice certainly had its charm, we couldn't help but notice that the narrow streets were often crowded and filled with cigarette smoke, which slightly detracted from the otherwise enchanting atmosphere. On October 10th, we took a late morning train from Venice to Florence, a journey of about 2 hours. Upon arrival, we unexpectedly found ourselves in the middle of a mugging incident involving one of the members of our group. While traveling on the monorail to our hotel, he had his wallet stolen, losing about $600. Our tour guide attempted to intervene, but things escalated quickly. 2 men pushed him and even threw a broken wine glass at our group. Thankfully, no one was seriously hurt. This was just one of the 4 altercations we witnessed during our time in Italy. A word of caution. Pickpocketing is rampant in tourist areas, particularly around the train stations and public transportation. After the unsettling incident, we checked into our hotel and set off on a guided tour of Florence. We explored the city's stunning streets and admired landmarks like the Uffizi Gallery, the magnificent Cathedral of Santa Maria de Fiore, the Baptistry, and Ghiotto's Bell Tower. For dinner, we ventured to the famous All'Antico Venio sandwich shop. Despite the long line, the wait was absolutely worth it. These sandwiches were not only huge, but also incredibly delicious. Florence quickly became our favorite city in Italy. Despite the unfortunate pickpocketing experience, the city's beauty and charm made it an unforgettable stop on our journey. On the morning of October 11th, Kate and I took another stroll through the charming streets of Florence, soaking in the beauty of the city.
Coin in his mouth.
Miss. Fucking landed right there.
Later, we reunited with our group in the early afternoon and boarded a short train ride to Siena, where we learned about the town's rich culture and the world-famous Palio horse race that takes place twice a year in the central square. In the evening, we hopped on a bus with our group and headed towards the rolling hills of the Chianti countryside to visit a traditional farm and winery. There we were introduced to the winemaking process from vine to bottle and enjoyed an array of locally produced wines and delicious food. As we made our way back to Florence, our tour guide took us to a scenic spot overlooking the city, where we were treated to a breathtaking view of the city's lights below. This unexpected stop turned out to be one of the highlights of our trip, offering a perfect end to an unforgettable day. After breakfast, we boarded a high-speed train to Rome, arriving around noon. With a few hours to spare before our tour began, Kate and I decided to try McDonald's, where the menu features some unique items. After lunch, we joined a guided tour of Rome, exploring iconic landmarks such as the Pantheon, the bustling Trevi Fountain, Piazza Navona, and the Spanish Steps. We also enjoyed some refreshing lemon-flavored gelato while taking in the stunning views. We woke up around 5:45 a.m. and headed to the Trevi Fountain, hoping to capture photos before the crowds arrived. While there was still a small crowd, it was far less busy than during the day. We continued our early morning exploration of Rome, revisiting many of the sites from the day before, but in a quieter, more serene atmosphere.
I come for PG.
Later, Kate and I took an Uber to a park just outside the city to see the ancient Aqua Claudia aqueduct. The park was stunningly beautiful, and the aqueduct, originally started by Caligula and completed by Claudius in 52 AD, was awe-inspiring. We could have spent the entire day there, but we had to rush back to Rome for our 2 p.m. guided tour of the Vatican. Unfortunately, due to heavy traffic, we arrived 10 minutes late. A word of advice: always allow extra time for travel in Rome because the traffic can be unpredictable. Despite the crowds, exploring the Vatican was an incredible experience. We learned that over 30,000 people had visited that day, making it shoulder to shoulder in some areas. Even so, it was amazing to admire the stunning artwork, sculptures, and historical treasures housed there, including the breathtaking Sistine Chapel and the intricate medieval tapestries. After breakfast, we returned to the high-speed train station for our journey to Naples. From there, we spent the day on a guided tour of Pompeii, a site I had been eagerly anticipating and one that turned out to be absolutely breathtaking.
This one is much more real. Before the inauguration of the Aqua
That evening, we continued by bus to Sorrento, where we checked in the Grand Hotel Europa Palace, a stunning coastal hotel offering spectacular views. On the 15th, we traveled by boat to the enchanting island of Capri. The town was home to the largest lemons I've ever seen. We spent the day exploring the charming Piazzetta, strolling through the stunning Axelmuth Garden.
I was going to suggest to you to go on the telly.
And enjoying a hydrofoil boat ride around the island, soaking in its breathtaking views. Capri was easily one of my top 3 favorite places in Italy. The final day of our tour was a relaxing one spent in Sorrento. Kate and I took the time to explore the charming town, picking up some souvenirs along the way. That evening, we enjoyed a farewell dinner at our hotel where we said goodbye to our group and tour guide. Traveling by train with our group was a fantastic experience, allowing us to make new friends from various places. If you're looking to see and experience as much as possible in a short time, I highly recommend a tour like this one, which we found through Meet Greet Italy. With a few days left before heading home, we needed to make our way back to Venice to catch our flight. On the morning of the 17th, Kate and I decided to take a train back to Rome and spend the night there. That afternoon, we explored a local park after a 45-minute walk to reach it. While the park was fascinating, with scattered ruins from ancient Rome adding a historical charm, it was unfortunately marred by litter, much like parts of the city itself. On the morning of the 18th, we had a guided tour of the Colosseum, the Roman Forum, and the Palatine Hill. Walking through these iconic historical sites was breathtaking, allowing us to imagine what life might have been like in ancient Rome. But as the day went on, I found myself growing a bit weary of seeing endless piles of rubble and ruins. It made me wonder how incredible it would be if countries could rebuild their historical sites to their former glory, giving visitors a more vivid sense of the original magnificence. Overall, I thoroughly enjoyed my time in Italy, and I would highly recommend a train tour for those with limited time. It allowed us to experience a bit of everything Italy had to offer: art, food, vibrant cities, and a rich history. Overall, I thoroughly enjoyed my time in Italy, and I would highly recommend a train tour for those with limited time. Thanks for joining us on this tour of Italy. Stay tuned for more travel videos, and hit like and subscribe for Tropia Films. Thank you. Alright, anybody seen a bidet like this? I guess you sit in the front and spray yourself after the toilet and sink.